Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple, book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse study through the entire Bible. Currently, we are in Jeremiah chapter 10. Now, this is going to be some interesting discussions too, because Jeremiah is going to be asking the Lord about his harsh decrees against the land. Okay, so let's see what he has to say, and then you're also going to see God's response. All right, Jeremiah chapter 10. Now, another thing is I am doing a lot of reading because a lot of this is pretty much God's declaration here. So, yeah, it might be a little tedious that we're just reading. Um, then every now and then I'll throw in, a comment, but in other words, it's self-explanatory, and that's why I probably will read a lot more than just comment. So, chapter 10, verse 1 says, "Hear the word of the Lord." I'm sorry. Hear the word that the Lord has spoken to you, house of Israel. This is what the Lord says: Do not learn the way of the nations, or be terrified by the signs in the heavens, although the nations are terrified by them. Now, this is something they won't. What's sad is the they wanted to be like the nations of people. Now they're kind of getting the judgment. But anyway, you can say they're getting what they're asking for. Verse 3, for the customs of the people are worthless. Some cut down a tree from the forest. It is the work by the hands of the craftsman with the chisel. He decorates it with silver and gold. It is fastened with a hammer and nails, so it won't totter. Like a scarecrow in a cucumber patch, their idols cannot speak. They must be carried because they cannot walk. Do not fear them, for they can do you no harm, and they cannot do any good. Now, you kind of might think that, well, why is God kind of saying this? It's almost like, yeah, duh, but they actually thought this way. In this context, God is actually being kind of kind to him because he's going to say, you guys are stupid for, you're creating something. You chisel the wood, you craft the wood, and then you bow down and says, you are great, you created me. Verse 6, Yahweh, there is no one like you. You are great. Your name is great in power. Who should not fear you, kings of the nations? It is what you deserve. For all the people are wise people of the nations, and among all their kingdoms there is no one like you. They are both stupid and foolish, instructed by worthless idols made of wood. Now, if you're going to sit and say that you're receiving your knowledge, wisdom, if you're worshiping something you created, something that has to be carried by you, notice he said, yeah, you're stupid. Verse 9, beaten silver is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Euphaz, and the hand from the hand of the goldsmith, the work of craftsmen, the clothing in blue and purple, all the work of skilled artisans. But Yahweh is the true God. He is the living God and the eternal King. The earth quakes at his wrath, and the nations cannot endure his rage. Now, again, you would think this would be common sense, but yet God is speaking on the level, the pagan, corrupt, stupid level of the people who think, here's the difference. Your idols cannot speak, they do nothing. Israel had the living God. Now, this is the difference. Israel had the living God. They saw all of his works, they saw all of his miracles. All right, verse 11. You ought to say this to them: the gods that did not make the heavens and the earth will not perish from the earth and from under these heavens. He made the earth by his power, established the world by his wisdom, and spread out the heavens by his understanding. Now, this is, think about this statement here. Now, from time to time, I will have a kind of a debate with an atheist or someone who doesn't believe in the creation or the true living God. And so I said, well, they will ask me, well, there's no proof that God exists. And I will say, okay, fair enough. Um, but when you look at the world, and there's so much testimony of God's wisdom. Now, sometimes scientists will scoff at this, okay? But remember, they're starting from a standpoint. I mean, scientists and atheists, they're starting at a point that God doesn't exist. And if you say that God doesn't exist, so notice he says right here in verse 12, he made the earth by his power and established the world by his wisdom. So when you look at the planets, you look at the universe, and I am no astrophysics by no stretch of the mean. I am not a um, uh, um, there is another term for the scientists that study the land mammals and all of that. Okay, um, if you can look at this earth now again, if you're on a debate stage with them, if you're on a debate stage with them, you're not going to kind of be able to say to them, here's what this is how foolish your heart is. They're going to claim we follow the science. We follow the evidence of science. And here's the thing, no, they don't, because there's so much the gaps in their belief. If you say that the universe began 14 billion years ago, and I heard one guy break it down, 14 billion years ago, then you have a long gap, right? In other words, from 14 billion to like when the earth is about, according to them, 4 billion, about 4 billion years. In other words, see, the longer you can stretch it out to them, the more it makes sense, the more things will form. Well, I don't believe that. I don't. You think about this right here, right? This takes thought. This phone right here takes thought. All of the intricacies of that. You could never say that if you give it enough time, this would form. And yet they want to tell us what the universe, and of course, what we can see and experience with the physical eye, the earth, and that's enough, right? Because we can't we can only see so far out in space, and we're told billions of galaxies, the vastness of the universe. Well, I can't see, right, really. I don't know. Okay, but if you travel the earth, and you don't even go that far, right? You could just walk out in your backyard and you can see all of the vastness of this planet. You can see the vastness, the creation of everything. And then so if I want to compare natural selection, and they say this, that natural selection created all of what you see here. Now, I'm going to pause for a moment and say, that is to me about as absurd as when God here is calling the craftsman here stupid. In other words, you create a tree, you create an image, shape it, deck it out, and then you say you're God. But of course they don't. The atheists and the scientists won't say God. I mean, pagan gods and stuff. But what they do say is that the science say that natural selection will say that natural selection created all of this. So just from the biological creation, and I forgot what the just my old man here, brain, you know, people like um, um, Dawkins, okay, um, biologists. I'm going to say biologists. So to be able to say that if you give it enough time, so you go back, remember, so your first, the very origins itself has to be able to say, okay, well, nothing then created this universe. Now, if you don't want to go with nothing, right? If you don't want to go with nothing, then you say, well, okay, so nothing created the nothing if you then you got to say the elements are here. Now think about this. So the elements, right? So basically, they're going to tell you that the elements, you have the elements, all of the elements of science, and then you got the four building blocks of life that are present. So how did they form? So from an intense heat, an explosion, and then a cool down. So then, where would the microbes come from? Okay, and I'm treading lightly here because I'm not a scientist. I'm admitting my ignorance in this field here. I'm admitting that. But at the same time, if you're going to try to tell me that this all happened out of nothingness, then you're going to sit up and you're going to tell me that at some point you had the Big Bang explosion. Okay. In fact, I have. Let me go to this. I'm veering off for a moment here, but I actually have. Um, I'm going to show you. Um, because I did a video on this before. So where is it at here? What is kind of interesting to me, let me show you, let me find it, and I can illustrate it better. Here we go. So right here, you have um, what they call the kind of artist rendition of the explosion, right? So look at the Big Bang. So to the left, that big explosion. And then they will tell you after 14 billions of years. Look what they say, 14 billions, right? Then they say after 3 minutes, you see the rapid expansion. After 300,000 years, I don't know how they look like microorganisms. And then after 1 billion years, some more galaxies. Then after 14 billion years, what they're saying is life, right? Um, then you have, it looks like that, the expansion of the universe, right? If you were kind of looking at it, the mass expansion of the universe. So then they're going to tell us that just give it enough time, and then you're going to have this kind of cool down area here. And they're going to tell you that before this cool down, then you have a period of time where this earth was formless rocks pelted by other rocks. And then if you give it enough time, it becomes this beautiful ball. They actually say that it becomes this beautiful ball, a beautiful ball. Okay, give it some more time, right? And then you could see how out of nothingness the planets form. Now, what I want to look at is that you're looking at these different forms. My question always is this: why didn't life? Now, you look at the third planet from the sun, which is Earth, right? Why is that the only one that has the complex life, right? Look at that, right? That's the only one that you can see like this. Now, I'm going somewhere with this here. And then, of course, I'm not going to get too involved into this. But anyway, you could kind of see that from there, you see all these different forms of life that form here. And then you give it enough time. Oh, give it enough time. Now, this is what they say the microbes formed about 4 billion years ago. And then from that, it jumped to this. You give it time. You're going to have this. And then this, which came about 175 million years ago, right? About 300. I'm sorry about about 340 million years ago. They're saying. Now think about this. So then, all of these things started to happen, and eventually form into this, form into this. Then you got a whole bunch of this, where all of a sudden now it formed from all of that. Now again, I'm going. I'm saying all of that because of, to me, the craziness of the craziness of man and just thinking away from God, and yet he says that God made the world by wisdom. Now you stop and you think about the wisdom of our existence. If this, if nothingness formed this, okay, I'm not the best specimen, I know, but why two eyes? Why a nose? If natural selection, and they do say this, natural selection, no wisdom, but the wisdom that God said, well, I needed two eyes to see, I need a nose to breathe. But think about all of what's going on with this just breathing, this nose right here, the air that is breathing in, air in the mouth. And then look at the mouth with the teeth. I need the teeth to chew up food that produces nourishment in life. Oh, by the way, that nourishment in life, now think about this, that nourishment in that life, that the ball form for us to need to eat. Now, my point is, science will say, no. Man did not. We didn't. We don't. God didn't do that. My point is, the more you look at creation, the more you look at the universe, it shows the wisdom of God. It shows the wisdom of God that, with all of this, what you see right here, that this comes from the wisdom of God. Not the wisdom of man, but the wisdom of God. And so, anyway, I'm always kind of awed when I just think about this. And there are billions of ways that God had did this, right? Think about the species right here, the billions of different kinds of birds. I mean, and then why is man at the top? We run the world, right? Lions are stronger than us. If all there was a TV show, came out a few years ago called Zoo, where worldwide all the animals all of a sudden decided to rebel against man. Okay, fiction, but he rebelled against man. They don't know why, but rebelled against man. Well, if that happened, we would be screwed because they're stronger than us. But yet God said it wouldn't happen. Anyway, uh, God made the world by his wisdom. And when you look around, that's what you will see. Wisdom. Okay? You will see wisdom. Alright guys, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome, and I'll see you in the next study.